Interesting way to start the evening with Furia coming out on top, but that's all done and dusted. Time for match number 2. Ollie, Black Dragons versus INTZ. It's definitely shaping up to be a pretty close one with the form that Black Dragons are on.
It really is. You might look at this and go, well, INTZ are sitting currently at 9th inside of the table, but for both of these teams, this game is very winnable. We've been informed of a couple of player changes as well. There's a couple of substitutes that are flying in today, which are going to make things interesting, I think. It's fair to say there's a little bit more skin in it for both sides now. But ultimately, let's just see what we get between these two. I'm not got a clear-cut way, one way or another as to how this one's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an exciting one, of course. Let's take a quick look at this intro and see exactly what we should expect from this matchup.
Black Dragons and INTZ have not had the most memorable restart in the BR6. BD suffered a defeat against MIBR 7-3, and for INTZ, well, they didn't fare much better, with a hard pill to swallow 7-4 loss. What do both teams have in common besides the fact that they're about to face off? Well, these two teams had the misfortune of facing a renewed MIBR. This match will be all about recovery and raising expectations, because if we look at history, neither BD nor INTZ can rest on their laurels. We cannot discount that INTZ came away with a win in Stage 2 against BD, but the 8-7 scoreline made it clear that this was a match of many mistakes.
Porque a gente tinha o jogo nas mãos e deixamos os caras dar o comeback e só tenho a dizer que foi triste e muito triste.
Esse jogo contra a BD a gente errou bastante, por incrível que pareça. A gente buscou um 6-2 para levar pro overtime, ganhar overtime. Não podia ter não ido pro overtime esse jogo, porque a gente entregou muito round.
Black Dragons did well to try and maintain their growth from the previous stage, but their lineup is still adapting to the recent changes, swapping resets with Bassett. If overall, the team standard continues to disappoint on both sides, perhaps it's up to individual stars to make up the difference.
Então, eu acho que ali, hoje eu não estaria nenhum, eu estaria o time deles, como sendo o ponto forte deles, o conjunto deles é muito bom, mas querendo não ficar preocupado com o careca, né, Cornetão?
Cara, o Live é um cara muito inteligente, eu acredito que do time da BD é o cara que eu mais respeito lá. Ele é o IGL dos caras, então eu acredito que é o cara que você tem que mais ter atenção no time deles, que é o cara que tem uma leitura de jogo muito grande, muito rápida. Se você der uma brecha, com certeza ele vai coordenar o time pra explorar essa brecha.
Who's going to come out victorious? We'll find out right now, as Black Dragons take on INTZ.
Well, Black Dragons versus INTZ and demo, Ollie mentioned it a second ago. It's important to remember here that INTZ are going to be here with a slightly weakened roster, having to play with a substitute in the form of Miranda. But I think it's fair to say that last time they played with her, things went pretty well for them.
They went okay. Last time Miranda came in to stand in for INTZ because they've been in this situation before. It was back in Stage 1 of BR6, and it was week number 4. They had 2 games with her. One was against Fura, which they lost, and the second was against FaZe, which they actually won. And I think that was also a bit of a surprising victory, considering that FaZe went on to actually finish first in that stage. So, yeah, there has been some good moments, definitely. We'll see if they can do it against Black Dragons today.
We certainly will. Look, 2 very evenly matched teams, I think, Ollie. Obviously, you know these teams pretty well at this point. We've been through 2 stages of the BR6 by now. What are you thinking in terms of the map, Veto? Where do you think we're ending up on this one?
I think, obviously if you're running with a substitute, you don't want to be going to anything that's going to put too much pressure on that role. You don't want to be going to anything like a club or an Oregon or somewhere that you've got to have like a very specific checklist of things to do, but those maps are sort of becoming a bit fewer and further between, especially with changes to Coastline. A hard breach is a requirement now on Coastline, so you can't just stick somebody on hard breach and sort of hope for the best, as it were. You're still going to require that level of coordination. So in terms of where we will actually go, it's kind of difficult to say given the circumstance. I think if this was last stage, we'd very easily just sit here and say, well, you give Coastline a go, just see if you can outgun and see if you can outperform like that. But I think there's slowly but surely there's becoming a little bit more pressure everywhere on that hard breach roll, and I sort of single that out because that's what Miranda played on for the majority previously when she picked up for INTZ.
Yeah, let's take a quick look over at the map Veto, though, and see exactly what is going through these teams' heads. And Chalet being the first map banned by Black Dragons. Demo, what kind of insight is this giving you onto already how the teams are planning things out?
Once again, Chunks, I'm worried because Cafe is still there again. I just need to get it banned out, and thankfully, the prayers have been answered. Obviously, last week, we seen both sides play out. It was INTZ who went up against MIBR on Coastline, was the map that they played, and that's also the map that we're going to be seeing here tonight. INTZ, they lost to MIBR, though, which is probably one of the biggest things to take away. Both sides suffering a loss to MIBR last week, so it's very difficult. I think still early days to judge how this one's going to shape up.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one as well, the fact that INTZ, they lost on Coastline last week and ended up forcing that ban. Ollie, forcing that map, I should say. Ollie, do you think this shows that INTZ are feeling confident about the Coastline, that they've got some strategies that maybe didn't work out last week and could maybe switch things up this time around?
Quite possibly. You know, INTZ played MIBR last week on Coastline. It was a 7-4 to MIBR. So I think, especially given the week that MIBR had overall, INTZ probably feel like there's things that they can take away from that game and things that they can look to try and improve and work on. So for me, I don't think that it's a bad sort of bad choice in any way for them to end up on Coastline again. I think, as we mentioned, it's probably one of the better maps to have somebody pick up onto, and we'll just have to see how they perform. Obviously, Black Dragons, again, they played MIBR last week, so there's a bit of a, you know, there's a little bit of a comparison really to be drawn there, and neither of these two teams did exceptionally well against them. So I think we could be facing quite an even matchup here and now.
Yeah, I think an even matchup is probably an understatement when it comes to these two teams, but we have to remember, look, Black Dragons have made some changes. They have been on a really good form recently. Obviously, losing resets has caused some problems for them, Demo. Do you think that they can get back on track now, come out strong, and really get the energy flowing as it should be for this roster?
I think both sides have to come in with a great mentality to think that they can win this game today. Both sides suffering losses last week. I think first wins are so important. First wins, I think, set your team up so great for the rest of the season. You have that mentality, you have that positive energy. But if you get off to a rough start and you lose that first game, if you don't win that second, that can quickly lead into you don't win your third and then your last. That's what I see so often is teams who they lose that first game and momentum's gone. Both teams are in the same positions. Yeah, they did not win. Momentum has not been started, and one of them needs to start it here today.
Absolutely. I mean, look, talk about energy, talk about that mentality, Ollie. You gotta love seeing those player cams, all of those players having that group talk, getting together, knowing what strategies are coming underway. You can tell that the chemistry is here for Black Dragons, can't you?
Yeah, and I think, you know, Black Dragons are going to be mindful of the fact that they're playing with Brasileirão, and again, we've spoken about how a new player coming in can affect a roster or a team in terms of how they perform, and I think that Black Dragons are really going to be putting in a lot of work to ensure that Brasileirão is fitting in as best that he can. Obviously, we haven't seen all too much to make a really clear judgment as to how this team is going to move on going forwards. But ultimately, you know, this is a really good proving ground for both of these teams. There's an opportunity to come away here with a couple of points. And it's not quite a 3-point game, but it's certainly getting close. You know, there's not a great deal of difference in between the points between these two. There's 5 points in it currently. So they're likely going to be fighting each other toward the end of the stage.
Yep, it's going to be a close one. Let's see how things unfold because the game is getting underway. So Ollie, Demo, take it away.
Chunks, thank you very much indeed. We're going to be heading to Coastline. Feels like we cannot get away from this map at the moment, Demo. It is certainly a team favourite. I'm not sure if it's a crowd favourite, but it's certainly a team favourite inside of BR6. We saw it at Rucker Times last week, and it's only our second game here tonight, and already we are seeing it come through.
Seen it way too often, it feels like. Honestly, across a lot of the regions, at the moment. Coastline has definitely hit the ground running. This was a map that we only really ever seen Ollie inside of best of threes, or if we've got Talan events, but no, now we're seeing it a lot more times in best of ones. We're seeing a lot less Oregons and Clubhouses now, which I love the fact that we're not seeing those two maps just over and over again, Ollie. It does feel good to have a bit of a change. I mean, we haven't even seen anyone, I don't think, play Club so far. So
we've not seen a Club.
That's already a nice change.
It's a bonus, in my opinion. It's a Brucey bonus. And long may it continue. Watch this, we'll get Club next game, guaranteed.
To see you.
Nice. There we go. But moving into this game now, Thatcher Nomad, Smoke, and a Valkyrie are going to be the bans. I think still there's the argument that can be made that because of the flexible nature of Coastline as a map, the bans are a little bit less pressured. Even with the changes, there's still plenty of options for ways and means of dealing with things, and something like a Cade, whilst it's going to be really important to have, or some sort of denial, it isn't as difficult to deal with as it is on other maps. There are a lot of different ways that you can try and work in and get that job done. You look toward a Book, a Maverick, obviously. There's plenty of things. I mean, I say that. We've not seen a Cade picked. We've seen the Maverick 6 picked out of. Who knows what's happening?
So, Ollie, we do have a bit of a Romeo-Juliet situation today.
We do.
Currently in the game.
You want to tell everyone what it is?
If you don't know, we've got some juicy gossip for you. We have got a boyfriend and girlfriend playing against each other today. We have Miranda, who is filling in for INTZ, going up against her boyfriend in the form of Perez on Black Dragon. So, obviously a little minor side story. That's like a side mission, Ollie, that we're trying to complete. But I'm sure it'll be fun if we see any killing of each other going down.
I mean, that's a big side mission, isn't it? Like, someone's sleeping on the couch tonight. You know, that's just...
I think it might be Perez.
I mean, I wouldn't like to say, but you know, it's almost regardless of result, right? Perez is probably on the couch. So, you know, best of luck to both of them. I'm not sure if it's an occasion. It's certainly not too common.
No, I've never seen this before.
I've never seen or heard of it before. I don't think that it's happened in Siege before, but
never.
At least not publicly. But we were informed this by producer Simon, so we thought it'd be worth letting you all know, and we can maybe keep a track of some sort of kills between one another or something like that.
Yeah.
Certainly player tendency is going to be known, you know.
We'll see how it rolls out. So, INTZ on the attack. This is going to be good for INTZ at Coastline at the moment. Very attacker favored from kind of what we're gathering from the statistics. Still, it's still very, very easy, I think, for attackers just to have a lot of free range. The fact that you don't need a hard breach is always going to be a massive, massive addition to the attackers. You know, not having to bring in a hard breach, Ollie, opens up so many other options. Yeah, you're not forced into picking the ace every round. You can go for an operator that gives you more utility. I think we're seeing the Lion come in this circumstance. Lion, it's one of his go-to maps. We always see Lion appear on Coastline.
We do. We regularly see Lion banned on Coastline as well.
Very true.
It's one of the maps where he can really start to stretch his legs and shine. It is still quite a choice decision not to bring a hard breach here from INTZ, because although it isn't required, it can sometimes be a little bit of a nice to have. Opening kills are going to be going in favour of Black Dragons here, as we've managed to find 3, make it 4. Perez, he's picked up himself 3 on the round. Poor old Drunks is left out in the cold. He can recover the diffuser. He can find one onto live. He's got an eternity of time to work with, but he's got so much utility to wade on through. There's going to be a laser gate. Can he land his shots? He gets chunked down and eventually finished. Perez going to find him out. That first round very successfully there.
4 kills for Perez right off the rip. Wow, blink and you kind of miss it there, Ollie. All of INTZ just kind of dropped at once. Black Dragons is out of nowhere with a flurry of kills, and they will take the first round. So, yeah, very, very good stuff from Black Dragons. Now we move over, I believe, to Penthouse and Theatre, Ollie. Look, my Portuguese is improving, not the fact that home theatre literally
says
the same.
home theatre.
Yeah. So, not much has changed there, but yeah, we will be seeing this bombs that be played out. This has been a bomb site, Ollie, that has been changed dramatically with the little rework that happened to Coastline. We see this bomb site be played a lot now. Mostly because you can hold VIP a lot more cleaner than what you used to. And that was always the issue with this bomb site back in old Coastline, was VIP was a death trap. There is no good places to sit. You couldn't hold it very well. Now that we have a double wall, it makes Kide a very, very important operator that you need to bring. And that's why we're seeing Factory be banned out a heck of a lot more on Coastline than maybe what we used to see in the past.
It's kind of like these two teams are playing different versions of Coastline, because Black Dragons are bringing the Cade, they've reinforced the wall in VIP, and they're going to take advantage of that. Whereas you look on the side of INTZ, they haven't even got a hard breach. Like, what sort of hope have they got of taking VIP without a hard breach in this day and age? It doesn't seem very feasible. You know, the roof as well has been adjusted so that you're a lot safer as a defender making those rotations. The roof is, the angles are far more restrictive than they've ever been up there, so you can't actually get as many angles down onto players inside of luggage, inside of, you know, inside of vase and places like that. So it's going to be very difficult here for INTZ to really have any sort of significant beachhead inside of VIP. And that's then going to force them to do, you know, a pretty much a full map clear.
Okay, so kick things off with Black Dragon. Just out on the hunt for a few drones here or there, which, you know, Coastline, if you have a bit of information, it's very, very easy to collapse on defenders. And roaming has always been, I think, a big part of Coastline, but it's also been one of the most toughest maps, I feel, for roamers to really excel on, Ollie. The cutoffs that you can have, just the way that the layout is with the corridors, and you can kind of be shot from above. Sure, they maybe have toned down that from happening with some of the changes. You look at one of the big windows on VIP corridor, it's now blocked off of a metal sheet. So it is a lot easier, but it's still not the safest in my eyes.
Certainly not. Certainly not safe for INTZ on the attack either, as Vitz is going to fall first blood. Basetto is going to pick one up onto Hornetow, as well as INTZ are still yet to find any significant kills. We saw Drunks get an exit frag in the previous round, but aside from that, there has been nothing. He's got himself into sight right now, but still gets himself taken on out. Perez on a triple kill as he's looking to clean up this round once again. A 5 versus 1 for VNX. He's going to be playing at the bottom of Cool Vibe Stairs. He's probably better off just taking a minute to talk to his team at this point, because this is a dire state of affairs here for INTZ. They've not been able to get anywhere close in the first 2 rounds. And I think they need to seriously switch up their approach and what they're doing, because it's beyond just losing gunfights. They're not even bringing a lineup that you would expect at this point.
That sums it up, doesn't it? You go to pull out your utility and all of a sudden he swings, so Black Dragons have been mudded. 2-0. Black Dragons very, very impressive, and INTZ need to get a move on. Can't let the defenders have all this fun, Ollie. Like I said, it is usually favored for the attackers, so if Black Dragons, this is how good they're playing on the defense, think of how good they're going to play on the attack.
Yeah, you've got to feel for INTZ at this moment in time. Things just not really going in their favor. But again, they're not really helping themselves all too much either. Finally, we're seeing a little bit of hard breach be brought. Ibana going to be selected there by Vitz. We're going to see the Flores as well. So kind of flipping and flopping between just sort of out and out trying to take rounds off sheer aggression, and now slowly but surely INTZ trying to introduce a little bit of structure here into this map. The Flores pick really makes a lot of sense here. Pressure on those deployable shields is always going to be a good thing. You can pretty much bet your bottom dollar that there's going to be a deployable shield played either at the top of Cool Vibe Stairs, near Vars, or at the back of Drinks. So really you need to have some sort of surefire way of dealing with that, and the Flores drone will be just exactly that, as once that Rotero drone is detonated, it's bulletproof and it will destroy utility if close enough. So there's a chance here that INTZ are going to be able to start pulling this around, but they really can't afford to wait too many more rounds.
I need to get a move on. Can't let that momentum kind of fall for Black Dragons, where I think last split, Ollie, they looked dangerous at some points, and they really did. And I think Black Dragons, this is, you know, a big season for them. Obviously having to adapt to new player coming in, of course, who Veto at the moment, I think he's doing pretty damn good, 4-0 as it stands. So yeah, there is a lot of pressure on that player, and if Black Dragons can have a really strong split, I think they kind of prove the doubters, I would say, perhaps wrong. Obviously, you know, with them losing a player to Team Liquid, then, you know, it does put a little bit of pressure on the new guy.
It really does, and you just got to think about that for a minute as well. The fact that Liquid have picked up resets from Black Dragons just tells you what this team has the potential of creating. You know, that's a big pickup there. It's, you know, you're going into a team that got second place at SI. You better believe that Resets is able to perform, and we saw that last week. So we know that Black Dragons have got the ability to, you know, produce good talent, and that's really the journey that we want to see them go on over the course of this next stage and subsequent stages of the BR6, is just refining those skills. And with the pickup of Perez last stage, and obviously Basetto coming in now, there's a real chance for them to start making a name for themselves here. And if they can continue that form, then, you know, who knows where they might move. It could make that mid-table even more deadly. Now, first time in a long time, we're going to see the first kill here going in favor of INTZ. Toxie, he's going to fall off the back of a lion scan that was detonated by Miranda. We're going to see some action start to unfold, and this time it starts to go the way of INTZ. They've still got a long way to go here inside of this round, however, as they're looking a little bit caught in the weeds.
INTZ are going very heavy in towards Aqua, opening up now in towards the quad wall. They've kind of taken no interest at all towards VIP. This is very default. They have a bit of pressure on the Cold Vibe stairs, which is quickly dealt with by Perez, and now we're sitting at a 4 versus 4, and Aqua is kind of where INTZ, I think, have sandwiched themselves into. They have some window repels and double window, one on hookah, one outside hookah deck. It's going to be a Horn of Tau. Oh, Vits! That's the challenge onto the man inside the luggage, but takes a lot of damage for it live. Has to make this kill count. If he finds this, that's Diffuser cold on the floor, and he will find Ollie. A massive kill for live, and INTZ have been stunned.
Yeah, the Diffuser dropping at that point is not ideal at all. Hornetau trying to fight his way through, but lacking the information to do so. Ion, he's going to take him out with ease. VNX next into the breach. Can he land his shots? We got Miranda pushing in from the other side as well, but Live will deal with them. Ion picks up the final kill. A round that started to look pretty good for INTZ. Slowly but surely shut down.
Oh, INTZ getting killed by something as simple as a luggage flank? I mean, Ollie, that's kind of Siege 101, set up a flank drone and make sure nobody comes down luggage, and just couldn't do that. Nobody was backing up the Diffuser carrier, which was very strange. Vits was just left for dead, pretty much. I want to see more pressure towards that Aqua side. You know, we're seeing a guy outside hookah deck, we're seeing a guy in the hookah window, one in double window. You know, what are you going to get from that? You need to back up your Diffuser carry. If you're going for an Aqua take, get more people on Aqua.
Yeah, the Aqua pressure, the big window pressure, there's a couple of points there that are just lacking a little bit. And typically you only really see one player, maybe two at the most, over toward that hookah side. You know, somebody maybe on the hookah window and someone pushing in through the doorway. And even then, you can often get away with not having somebody on the window for the entirety of the round. So, a little bit of a strange approach there from INTZ. Obviously, really struggling here. Which is a shame because, you know, Coastline, one of the more attacker-sided maps in the pool. It's something that we've talked about quite regularly. Obviously, the changes have really equalized that, but there's still opportunity here, and you know, hookah billiards hasn't been changed all too much, so you would hope that you would still be able to pick up rounds everywhere that you know, maybe isn't penthouse and theater. There's changes, but they're not game breaking. It's not something that's, you know, really removing every opportunity away. So INTZ need to start coming up with some solutions here, otherwise they do face going down pretty bad.
Momentum, massive shift out for Black Dragons in their favor. They head down to Kitchen. Didn't really see Kitchen be played all too often the last time we were here for LATAM on Coastline, but Kitchen still, fairly good bomb site for defenders. The fact now, Ollie, that the changes that kind of happen to them, where you have now a single window to help you deal with anyone rushing in towards service. You also now, for service, you just can't plant the door anymore, Ollie. You have to go deep in now for that diffuser to get planted. So, a few changes. It does help the defenders just a little bit. So, it was strange not to see it come in big last week, but here we are now, anyway. And, oh, again, not a good start for INTZ. They've lost the opening pick once again. Sure, Veto has been down, but nobody else from INTZ is in a good position to go for a refrag and secure that injure.
I'm not sure how Veto gets that kill onto Horneteye. You would have thought that the F2 at that sort of range would have just been able to deal the damage, but a couple of missed shots is all it took. Yeah, I mean, the shotgun's one thing, isn't it? A couple of missed shots is all it took. Drunks, what is going on? You just full sprinting into Ion Patoxy. He's going to take down Vits. Miranda's looking to push on through blue. But pretty much solo at this point. We do still have VNX alive. VNX is rotated around to blue window. But still, I mean, what options have you got here? You got a Lion and you've got an Ash in a 2 versus 5. It really isn't looking good.
Oh, and where do you go from here? 2v5. Literally nothing to play off. You know, VNX he's having to check every single corner, Ollie. There's no drones being implemented. Miranda's inside a blue bar, but both of them will just be pushing into the same kind of area towards that kitchen door inevitably. And there's one man in Cool Vibes stairs who will shut all of that down. Just a matter of time. And there goes Miranda, and there goes VNX as well. Ion with a quick double kill to finish it off. Ollie, this is just a slaughter.
It really is, and it goes beyond, you know, having... it feels like it goes beyond having a substitute stepping in for the game as well. Because INTZ, they just don't... The remaining 4 don't look like they've got that coordination to really make things happen. How many kills are we seeing go down as single frags? We're not seeing any refrag potential. Opening pick, every single round bar 1 it has gone over toward Black Dragons. They're consistently dangerous on that opening kill. INTZ, they're nowhere near the pace of this game at the moment. We're going downstairs now into double bar. INTZ need to come up with something, and they need to really come up with it fast, because this is probably one of the bigger stomps that we've seen so far this stage, and I've got the feeling that it's just going to be over in the next sort of 20 minutes.
It's feeling that way. INTZ just not in it at all. I mean, Ollie, we thought the last game was a little bit one-sided. This is one-sided right here, Ollie. 3 kills to INTZ's name right now. That is it.
Yeah, we regularly talk about off the scoreboard contribution and, you know, everything else that goes into Siege, and it really matters not when you're not getting the kills to begin with. You know, Siege is a shooter. You've got to be able to win your gunfights. If you've got 3 kills in this inside of 5 rounds, got full rounds that have been played, let's be fair. We're moving into the 5th round now with only 3 kills. It just shows that INTZ are a little bit further off the pace than they may like.
INTZ, give us something. Just something to cheer about, please, because we know that, Ollie, they are so much better than this. Obviously, the situations, we know it's difficult playing with a stand-in. We get that. But you still expect better than what we're seeing right now, Ollie. It is sad to see, but hopefully everything can change for them. We'll be on to this Sunrise and Blue Bar now. INTZ are going to take a different approach than what they've done before, Ollie. They'll be taken in towards VIP, so this automatically tells us that they're going to want to try and get in and use the vertical game that they can bring to the table. Keep in mind, Sunrise and Blue Bar still has a hefty amount of flooring above them. So for teams who want to try and take above, it's going to be great. You can eliminate mirror windows, eliminate players in behind Sunrise Bar, which is always a strong position. We've seen Veto play here before. So if they can pull off a successful room clear above, it'd be good for them.
Ion's going to hit the drop and get himself back down to site. Currently 5-0, yet to be stopped, alongside Basetto, as he currently sits at 5-0 as well. Open kill from Patoxi's Nitro Cell will shut down Drunks. And, well, the same way that every single round has gone up until this point, we are seeing that opening pick go in the favor of Black Dragons. This time it will be responded to. Patoxi's going to be the next to fall, as INTZ actually managed to grab one back as a trade this time. VNX is going to use his Rotero drone to actually open up that wall into kitchen. Miranda shuts Perez down on the white stairs. We may just have a nice little replay of that later on, as producer Sam's been putting in a bit of work behind the scenes, but we'll see if it's going to be an INTZ round, if it is worth celebrating. So far, it's looking pretty good. 4 versus 2. Lion Scan coming in. Basetto gets sat down into the dirt. Hornetow, what a great swing that was. Brilliantly timed. Going to be able to shut him down. But INTZ, despite being downtrodden, despite not having the momentum, they've been able to find a good number of kills. So much so that they're going to pick them all up. It was a 4 versus 1. 4 versus none as the drop comes in, and finally we see INTZ break that scoreboard.
10 times better from INTZ that round. They adapted. It wasn't the same reckless, let's do the bare minimum and just try and rush in and take the kills. That was calculated. They went above. They pressured the roamers. They then hit kitchen like a ton of bricks, and it worked so well for them. That's what we want to see from INTZ. Using their heads. They're a smart team. We've seen some great plays from them in the past. We didn't see it in the first 4 rounds. We've seen it that time. But still doesn't paper over the cracks, Ollie. They still need more rounds. 1 round ain't gonna cut it.
It is only the start. And if that was round number 2, you'd be sat here going, yeah, we've got a game on our hands here. But the problem is it was round number 5. Now we're moving into the final round of the half. INTZ, at best, can come out at a 2-4 split. That's still a mountain here to climb. It is possible. And it's good that they've got themselves going. But they really did leave it a little bit late to do so. And I'm just a little bit concerned that Black Dragons may have already got too much of a lead. The next couple of rounds will tell. I think a 2-4 split is vital if INTZ want to try and stay in this thing. Once Black Dragons switch over onto the attack, you could see a bit of a different story. I certainly think that they'll prioritise that hard breach a little bit more heavily, as that's certainly somewhere that INTZ have been lacking.
So we head to now Theater again. Mirror window set up. This is where you kind of rely on Hornetown to do the business with the Twitch drones. And oh, that was close, Patoxy. Gotta hit your Twitch drones, mate. Or else that mirror window's gonna be gone. But thankfully, his teammate had him covered. 1 Twitch drone down. Still 1 more in the back pocket that Hornetown has to make work. Surprised Vitz isn't already rotating over towards the reinforced wall. Although as a Maverick, that's kind of your main job, is to get that VIP wall open and start creating a bit of a beachhead for your team to play off. But maybe that's not what INTZ are in for. INTZ are setting up almost as if they're looking to collapse onto main stairs. Look where VNX is on that single window. Tell me we're going to see a theater push.
We'll see an opening kill this time going in favor of INTZ. Live will fall. Certainly with the way that the drone work's going in now, Demo, you anticipate that Theatre is going to be more heavily pressured. There is a soft wall there as well, which is currently wall banged, and Basetto takes a couple of points of damage. Drunk stacking up as well, has a yellow ping for a little bit of utility to remove, and will deploy a nade to do so. Save that, it wasn't utility. Ion moves straight on through, gets caught out by that grenade. This is much better stuff again from INTZ. They've finally woken up here. The wall has been opened, courtesy of the Flores drone. Lion Scan to root everybody in place. Basetto, he's seeing the pressure now as he will be swung. Hornetow taking that as a head-to-head engagement. More than happy to move on through. Perez now rejoins into Theatre to try and cause a little bit of damage, but Patoxy, he is on the flank. He's in a 1 versus 5, and a Lion Scan will root him. He knows that he has to try and break these engagements down. Can he even find the first? Coming head-to-head with Miranda, but infinitely going to get swung by Drunks. The final kill will go as a 1-for-1 trade, but INTZ had that man count advantage. they are going to be able to come away with a 2-4 split. The last 2 rounds have looked incredible for them. Where was that INTZ at the start of the game, Demo?
God, who knows? Who knows at this stage? But yeah, 2 rounds that they needed to pull back into. Very, very impressive rounds. 2 different ways to approach both of those bomb sites. Taken in towards Kitchen as well as they did in the last round, and then that round that we just witnessed going for a theater take, Ollie, and that is not easy. You can get bottlenecked very, very easily, and you can get really choked up, so it's very impressive to see them pull away with those victories. So that's 2 rounds for them, but is it maybe too little too late, Ollie? Keep in mind now that Black Dragons, they get the attacking side.
Well, Black Dragons do get the attack, Demo, and we'll have to see how they try and make use of that. INTZ were only able to manage a couple of rounds last week as well against MIBR. I think it was an even 2-2 on this map. Yeah, they got 2 rounds on the attack, 2 rounds on the defense. So they've so far not managed to better what they were able to get on the attack last week, but maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to better what they are doing on the defense. We didn't see that VIP wall be reinforced. There is one left, but I don't think that the reinforcement has gone down. It isn't crucial for a Billiards and Hookah defense. Some teams will want to try and extend into there, though, for a little bit more of a potential on that roam game, just linking up between Penthouse and Theatre and allow players to lurk. But instead, we've seen INTZ opt to extend downstairs. They've taken a little bit of control of Sunrise, and they're going to try and play somebody below. They do have 3 C4s, and they've got the pulse. So it makes a lot of sense to try and make use of that.
Looking for the hunt onto potential roamers lurking in towards Fear, and you have a good hunch that somebody is lurking. It will be Hornetau. He can do some damage on the roam game at the moment. So more than likely, we'll see a pretty default taken towards Aqua. Looking at their setup, they're starting to drone out Aqua, repelling up to the balcony. Utility is good. They have nades, 4 nades to be exact, 2 on Finka and also 2 on the Maverick, so they can clear out any utility, any Banshees that may be lurking. Pulse would be the only issue, I would say, that probably Black Dragons need to address. Pulse below can be very, very devastating. Obviously, with a C4, you know, that's probably going to get you at least 1 kill, but even just using the pulse scanner and then floor banging with your MP, we've seen that happen plenty of times, and certainly an operator that you need to check for. Drunks is going to try and support downstairs along with VNX and Hornetau. They're actually setting up to maybe retake in towards Office, but it has left their actual site players a little bit lonesome, Ollie. If they get hit quick by a quick push in from Black Dragons, it can be all over in a matter of seconds.
They really could. The plant's already being baited out there. We saw Basetto just attempt to get it down and then come off very quickly. Ion going to pick up a kill onto Hornetau. Going to remove a lot of that pressure, but still, the NX is below, and Nade going to cut him off for the time being. Basetto going to go in for the replant. Perez with the shoulder cover shuts down onto Miranda. This plant is going to stick. Pulse is below, but he's unable to do anything about it for fear of being pushed, and pushed he will be. Live and Ion pick up 1 kill apiece. Vitz left in the clutch. A flawless round there for Black Dragons to kick things off on this attack.
Ooh, sweep them clean, Black Dragons. That is a run-of-the-mill, as standard as you like, Aqua take. And also a little bit surprising from the Pulse. Where the diffuser was being planted, there were holes open right below him.
Yeah.
And Pulse was in a perfect position to actually deny that. But like I said, Ollie, he was too worried about everything else going around him.
Certainly a good intention, I think, from INTZ. They had the right idea there, but not being able to hold below when you're investing so much into 3 C4s and a Pulse, you've got to be able to hold below. You can't have somebody outside of that blue bar window that can cause that much damage to you. And I think that was really the undoing there. Black Dragons were like, yep, we know that you're playing below, and we've got a couple of guys that are ready to deal with that. But we are going to try and force this plant down. Honestly, with how light the site was, a couple of kills and a plant on the billiards table would have been enough, potentially, if there were no holes that were allowing a C4 to be thrown all the way through the floor. A little plant on the table could have sufficed in that instance as well. So I think INTZ sort of played the game of chicken of like, yeah, you know, you can try and plant, but we're going to get the plant down. You know, we're going to deny you from below with C4s. And Black Dragons were like, sure, you can try, but we're going to play that game of chicken and we're going to get the plant down.
5-2, Black Dragons. 2 more rounds and they'll finish off quite easily. And with the way they've been playing Ollie, and, I think it's definitely doable from them. Went straight away with the change, not going back to Hookins, and they will go for the other top 4 bomb site over towards Penthouse and Future once again. Perez is in extremely fast, and he will find his own pick. Hornatao bites the bullet. Another great start for Black Dragons. They've had a lot of those this game, Ollie.
Like a scalpel. It's like a surgical maneuver for Perez. Just puts himself in the right position at the right time, removes Hornatao, gets himself back out of there. I mean, what more can you want out of your entry? You know, he's been able to entry in, get himself a kill, get out safe, can now start to line up the next victim that he wants to try and take out. It really is exactly what you need. And Penthouse and Theatre, we've spoken about this site. We've spoken about how it's a Marmite site. You know, some teams are really good, some teams make it work, some teams struggle a little bit more. It's a very typical way of getting the wall open, Electroclaw or not. The Maverick Blowtorch will open up that wall, and with somebody sitting out there on the rappel to watch through the hole, it can be very difficult to still occupy a space that's meaningful inside of that VIP. And VNX, look at him now. He's being held from the window, he's being held from the breach, and he's being held from the door. His location known. He has a little bit of information to go off, but realistically, what can he do? A nade is going to be cooked now, and it's surely only a matter of time. There it is. It's going to land on through. Basetto, he's a bit of a menace with those grenades. That's the second one that he's been able to make land today.
Yeah, the nades. If you have a good nade player on the team, it just gives you so many options. Oh, another one almost being threaded in. Black Dragons, they're just waiting for the right moment to maybe swing in and try and go for this execute. Seto. Let's have the diffuser. Ice hasn't rotated into a better position maybe to try and get the diffuser down, but then again, 90 control is still in favor of INTZ. They have lost the last man on site, and this is where diffuser goes down very, very easily. Drunks picks up 1 kill onto Vitoxy, but diffuser down, and at this stage, Ollie, just a single man and double window will shut it all down, but I don't even think it'll get to that stage as another falls for INTZ, and Drunks is going to be all by himself with all to do. He's Perez, but Live will shoot him in the back before anything else happens. Black Dragons 6-2. Just another clean round from them.
Black Dragons are looking really good here, and I think the exciting thing if you're a Black Dragons fan watching this is that they'd be taking rounds off a lot of teams here with the way that they're attacking on this map today and the way that they've played as a whole. INTZ have made some mistakes, sure, but Black Dragons, they have been consistent in that opening pick. They have been fantastic in that information gathering. They're not giving these rounds, you know, they're not letting anything, you know, go to chance here. They are going out there and they are taking these rounds because they deserve them. They're going in, they're getting that information. The amount of times that we're seeing Z pings, drones, all players coordinating onto one sort of player. It really is great to see. I think we've got a little bit of something, bit of something lighthearted here. We've got a bit of Perez versus Miranda. We've gone for the couple cam, and we're just getting a couple of live reactions here, so we can see the kill that comes through. There we go. Perez takes Miranda down. Miranda's hand goes up onto the back of the chair.
Looks
not again, sort of
She's
thing.
not happy.
There's
oh dear, Perez, you may take the win, but you're not winning at home, mate.
Oh, he's on the couch. He's on the couch.
He's done.
Small
He's
price
done,
to pay for 3 points, though. Am I right?
I suppose he'll do it for the boys. But yeah, just see that side quest, and Miranda having a very rough game at the moment. Ollie 1-6, and equally so is Vitz. Look at him, 1-6 also. And just an all-round poor performance from INTZ today. Black Dragons though on their game, punishing INTZ where they've needed to, and they're going to be hoping to clean it up here and now. Potential final round for them will be a Sunrise Blue Bar attack that they need to go on to. I wonder if they'll hit him quick. I mean, they have the lineup to do so. They have Lion, they have a Finka, even if they want to try and push in, have an extra bit of HP to take these fights. Just wonder what INTZ are going to do now, because they have to have 4 rounds in a row to have any chance of a comeback, and at the moment, it's very, very unlikely.
It is looking like a slim possibility. Lion Scan going to root all those defenders in place. Drunks is actually juiced up there on the dock. A couple of pings to be working with, but nothing that's going to result in any damage just yet. Drunks will be droned out there in Aquarium. Black Dragons, again, they're not rushing this. They know that they don't need to go in and to aggressively take these gunfights. They can just use their information, use their time, and eventually the execute will come. Perez is finally going to drop himself in and get into Aquarium. Moves through into that luggage area. Drunks actually gets chunked down by half there. Not sure if that was like a bit of a panic spray from a teammate or not, but first blood will be found. Hornetau is going to be able to shut down Perez as the entry this time has been unsuccessful.
The lion charge goes out. Hornetau stands still. See? Needs to hold him at bay for the meantime. Ion will find Vix now and square things up. 4-4 in the round as it stands, and they have full upstairs control. So this is where Black Dragons can now utilize their buck, open up the vertical game, eliminate anyone who may be playing in behind Sunrise, even move over towards the blue bar as well if they want to. Veto eliminates Drunks. That's probably a kill, I think, from Drunks having to be forced away into a difficult position. He will be eliminated from that. And Hornetau will try and challenge the buck. But that's never going to end well for him. A 2 versus 4. The Ints have to clutch up Miranda and VNX. Miranda gets thrown out. They know exactly where she is. Fires out C4. Will that connect to the buck? Yes, it will. Live goes down. And now there's something in it. VNX. Oh, swings around. Batuxi is there at the right time. Miranda all by herself, but can't do anything to stop the Horde. Black Dragons sweep. 7-2. Wow, what a performance.
Black Dragons have really given us a good showing there, a fantastic display of siege, and dare I say it, professional right down to the end. There were no opportunities there where they were risking giving anything away. There was a lot of 1vx situations that they could have been throwing bodies at, but they were not doing so. They were only interested in one thing, and that was guaranteeing the win. Black Dragons coming out there laser focused, being able to take 3 points off Ints over on Coastline. I'll tell you what, Demo, for all that we build that as a game that anybody could walk away with, it was probably as one-sided as it could have possibly been.
Yeah, especially the first 4 rounds, Ollie. I mean, first 4 were just unrivaled. Black Dragon, just nothing to go with whatsoever. I mean, what does Chunks think? You know, he's obviously sitting there on the sideline. Was his jaw dropping? You know, where are you at, Chunks? Let me hear you. He's not here. Where is he? Where is he? There he is.
There we go.
He needs to wait until the camera's on him. He can't speak until then.
I was worried that my mic was muted, so I was just like, I'll just be quiet just in case. But look, it was such an exciting game to watch. Black Dragon just absolutely popped off right there. Insane performance. And look, Ollie, we build it as a super close match, but in the end, Black Dragon just ended up tearing away. I asked you guys during the game there, I was just double checking, and a lot of people do feel like that's more of an attacker-sided map.
Yeah,
so
it is.
from the point of view of Black Dragons there, they've got to be feeling good about themselves, picking up so many defensive rounds, and then being able to move over to the attack, knowing that, hey, we kind of have the advantage going into this one.
Yeah, I think that, you know, Black Dragons have got to be proud of what they've been able to achieve there today. They played a very clean game of Siege. I think one of the reasons why we build it as having the potential to be so close is because looking at previous results, and, you know, we're in stage 3 now, so that all these teams have played each other twice. These two teams are 1 for 1. You know, Ints were able to win previously inside of stage 2. That was actually an 8-7, so a very close game. In stage 1, it was Black Dragon's turn. They won 7-2. So there was really no clear indication as to which way this would go based on previous performance. Obviously, there's been a bit of a roster shuffle in between there as well to consider. But ultimately, Black Dragons, they've got to be really happy with this, and it just further cements them in the standings as well. You know, we mentioned it's not quite a 6-point game, but there's a chance that these two teams are going to be fighting each other for points come the end of the stage. There were only 5 points in between them. Now that has been increased a little bit, shall we say, to 8 points. So it does just give Black Dragons that little bit more surety.
Yeah, it's what Black Dragons needed as well, Demo, because look, they've had those roster changes. They brought in Brasileirão to replace Reset. So big boots to fill, honestly, and it feels like now he's starting to come into his own. Tonight, he definitely had a big performance. We saw him get a couple of situations, like 1v3 situations, where he was able to take down 2-3 players from the other side. It was really impressive to see. Do you think he's finally starting to fit into that role and now feeling more confident with the team?
I think Brasileirão coming into it, we didn't really know what he was going to do. You know, what was he going to bring to Brasileirão? Like I said, big shoes to fill. You know, Reset's going to Team Liquid, massive change for him going forward, leaving Black Dragons going to one of the best teams in the world. And you kind of thought, well, you know, where do Black Dragons go from this? I think Brasileirão has been a great addition. I think he's held his own. I think he's hit some great shots also. And he's just been a rock. You look at him in the defense, he sits there, he's playing Mira. And he just stands still, and he just picks up his kills, his positioning, I think, is great at times. He's not the flashiest of players, but he just does his job. And yeah, very, very impressed with how he's performed so far.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what he can do in the coming weeks, but that's the halfway point of the evening down. Still 2 more games to go. Next up is going to be Team 1 versus NIP. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss